dangerous and controversial secret operations.
Every day somebody that we knew would either get killed or wounded, and we put them on an evacuation helicopter never to see them again.
If these men are killed, their existence will be denied. They are the unsung soldiers and covert operatives fighting Vietnam's secret wars.
Everybody, move out! Get out!
I'm Jack Smith, and these are stories of the Vietnam War, told by the people who knew it best, those who fought it. I was one of them. While the Vietnam War was playing out on television screens in living rooms across America, there was another war going on, one that few Americans ever knew about, a war in the shadows. These clandestine operations involved assassination, kidnapping, and cross-border incursions into neutral territory. The veil of secrecy continued to be maintained long after the war ended. But now, the secret soldiers in these covert operations are telling their chilling stories, many for the first time. Another highly secret operation, one which involves small teams of American soldiers working with local tribesmen to gather intelligence, kill, and kidnap the enemy. Beneath triple canopy jungle, in a country officially off-limits to both the United States and North Vietnam, a secret war is being waged. The foliage conceals an elaborate network of supply roads used by the North to transport weapons and troops to South Vietnam. Known as the Ho Chi Minh Trail, these roads are the backbone of the North's ability to make war effectively. If the United States is going to counter the North, they will have to cross borders into neutral territory. To do this, the military forms a crack, top-secret unit. The men are drawn from the ranks of the Special Forces, Green Berets, Air Commandos, and Navy SEALs, and cloaked with a purposely dull name, the Studies and Observations Group, or SOG. They volunteer with a firm commitment to serve, but with an unclear idea of what they will do or where they will go. John Plaster served 3 tours in the war and recalls his first SOG briefing.
Behind him was a curtain with top secret on it, large bold letters. He announced, "Gentlemen, welcome to SOG," and he jerked the curtain aside. Behind it was a map of Southeast Asia. And because we were there to fight the Vietnam War, we're all ready to look at this map of Vietnam, but it was not a map of Vietnam, it was a map of Laos. With all these little red boxes where SOG recon teams were at that moment monitoring and conducting operations along the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
As a young boy, John Caviani emigrated from Europe to the United States. By age 20, he'd lived here long enough to want to fight for America's freedoms.
It was an obligation that I had to my country, you know. Anti-war, I was a farm boy. Anti-war didn't mean much one way or the other. I never really questioned the validity of the war because I believed that much in my country.
John Frescura is a Special Forces demolitions expert who joined SOG in 1967.
I think it's just personal challenges, and you see other people doing things. It's the old story of why would you want to jump out of a normally functioning airplane? Because it's a challenge to be airborne, and it was a challenge to go in Special Forces.
Bob Donahue joined SOG in 1968.
It's just hard to explain to people what we went through. I was 21 years old at that time. I was at an impressionable age, and of course we all thought we were infallible.
SOGers work closely with local Montagnard tribesmen who have a long democratic tradition of electing their village chiefs and are fiercely anti-communist. The Americans teach them modern warfare and form a tight relationship with the tribesmen they call the Little People.
You develop a pretty strong bond with the people because you're going out on operations, you're eating, sleeping together, fighting together, dying together.
After being fully trained, 8 or 9 tribesmen team up with 3 Americans to form an elite team of secret commandos. The strategy is two-pronged: gather intelligence and create chaos within enemy ranks.
Our interdiction efforts against the North Vietnamese were vital. What roads are they using now? That isn't something you could always tell by flying over the top of it and taking aerial photography. You had to have the feet on the ground, the eyes on the ground, and that's what these guys did. And they did it exceptionally well, to the point that the enemy had to start bringing in companies and battalions. These are guys that aren't out fighting somebody else. They're looking for us.
SOGers operate black, wearing uniforms stripped of all trace of whom they're fighting for. Craig Lansing completes his Special Forces training in 1966 and volunteers for SOG the next year.
So we wore black uniforms, and when we went over the border, we never wore any kind of identification. Dog tags, ID cards, rank, or anything. So it had no way of knowing who we were.
Jack Singlaub, a veteran of secret wartime operations dating back to World War II, heads SOG in 1966. He is one of the few high-placed military and civilian leaders who know of SOG's existence. This allows deniability.
We could actually deny an operation if it were compromised without people knowing who were in the government whether it was true or false, because if you have it staffed in the normal way, it means that you've got hundreds of people in Washington who know about the operation, so it's pretty difficult for the president to deny it.
So they can move quickly and easily, most SOG reconnaissance teams are kept small. Any more than 6 men would require a second helicopter. Occasionally, the mission requires a larger group called a hatchet force. These teams consist of 20 to 40 men whose job is sometimes to aid a recon team in trouble, and at other times to look for trouble on their own. Harry Van Winkle leaves Texas for the Army at age 19. 6 years later, he is a SOG team leader.
The hatchet force was designed primarily, number one, to exploit targets of opportunity that were located by the recon teams, and to go in and secure downed aircraft, to go in and secure locations where a contact had taken place and where we had lost someone.
SOGers also practice the dark art of PSY-OPS, or psychological operations, counterinsurgency techniques designed to terrorize the enemy. One of the most classified, codenamed Eldest Son, involves booby-trapping captured North Vietnamese ammunition.
Eldest Son was a black operation that, with the help of the CIA and SOG headquarters in Saigon, would take captured enemy munitions, mortar rounds, anti-aircraft shells, ammunition for AKs, and they would remanufacture the ammunition.
The booby-trapped ammunition is then placed back in the original containers, and a SOG team places it in ammunition caches behind enemy lines.
So that they would take that ammunition, load it into their weapons, and then when they go to shoot at U.S. forces, the ammunition would explode inside the weapon. The weapon hopefully would destroy the person operating it.
SOG uses many methods to create disruption in enemy ranks. Kidnapping can have this effect and can provide valuable information as well.
There's no intelligence source so good as a freshly snatched enemy prisoner of war. You're deliberately making contact with the enemy behind his lines where he's concentrated, and when we ambushed him and snatched one of his own people, and he knew it. Literally, they would come after you with thousands of troops.
In March 1970, John Plaster's team plans to ambush a North Vietnamese truck convoy in Laos and snatch the lead driver. The team slips past enemy patrols and waits for the trucks along the trail.
I will always remember the vision of those headlights coming at us, because you could see them in the darkness for probably 10 minutes before the trucks got there, and you know it's coming, and you're just waiting and waiting and waiting. It's a little like watching a distant locomotive approach.
Plaster lays mines for the lead truck, then positions himself nearby. When the truck blows up as planned, Plaster's team moves in.
We were up, assaulting, and had the driver out of the truck in perhaps 6 or 7 seconds from the time that we detonated. He just had no time to resist, which was part of the plan. If you give someone enough time to resist, that's when they do a foolish thing, pull a grenade, pull a gun, try to run for it. But when you overwhelm them so quickly that they don't even know what's happening, and already you've got them face down on the Ho Chi Minh Trail, handcuffed, and you're leading them away, that's how you have a success. And indeed, our operation was a great success.
SOGers and others who operate clandestinely in Laos suffer some of the worst casualty rates of any group in the Vietnam War. They also receive some of the highest honors. Though SOG's ranks are few in number, an astounding 10 Medals of Honor are awarded to these men. These men say it's just a job, albeit dangerous, and it's one they very much believe in. And the difference between life and death is a mix of courage and simple luck. Take, for example, John Caviani's defense of a remote radio relay site called Hickory Hill in June of 1971. Caviani realizes that an attack by the enemy is inevitable.
I was so sure we were going to get hit. I wrote my father the night before and sent it out, day before, and sent it out on a helicopter letter telling him that this would probably be the last letter he would get from me.
The enemy attacks in the early morning. By the afternoon, the camp is almost destroyed. He calls for choppers to evacuate the dead and wounded.
I guess it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They call in and they say, okay, John, this is the last helicopter. And I got 17 little people. I got actually about 26 little people, and I got 4 Americans.
After the chopper leaves, only Caviani, his American partner, and a few tribesmen remain.
Started to turn around to get out off the bunker. I got hit in the back, and it went all the way up to my neck, threw me off the bunker.
Caviani tells the remaining tribesmen who try to dress his wounds to run for their lives. Now, just he and his partner are left on the mountain, trapped in their bunker and surrounded by more than 85 North Vietnamese.
I said, now if anybody comes in, I'll kill them. Don't shoot, because they don't know we're here. And as luck would have it, the first 2 guys through the door, one of them's no weapon, and the other one's got an AK. The one in front's got a flashlight shining about that far. So I let him go because he doesn't have a weapon, and my threat's the second guy. So I stabbed and killed the second guy. Turned around, grabbed the first guy, and my partner let loose with a 30-round magazine. So they knew where we were. So the next thing, and I didn't realize it, but there was an air hole in the back of this bunker. It was 1 sandbag big. Hand comes through it and got a grenade in it and drops it. Well, they drop it right between Jones's legs, and it goes off. He says, I got to surrender. I said, I'm dead. Just keep that in mind, I'm dead. So he ran out. And unfortunately, when you're surrendering, it's not a good idea to call him an MFer, which he did. And they shot and killed him dead on the spot, blew him back into the bunker.
The North Vietnamese set the bunker on fire, then leave, thinking the fight is over. Caviani passes out until daybreak.
Well, I've got meat hanging off my hands from being burned. And I'm kind of holding them up like this because this fog that's coming through feels pretty good on my hands. And all of a sudden there's a pair of legs there. Because the bunker is half underground, half above ground. And this guy decides to come in and loot through all the deals. And he does, and I reach up and grab a piece of cardboard, and I get behind it, and I got it with my fingernails, and I pulled out my knife. And the poor guy just comes up and goes, brings it down. I stabbed him and killed him. And I crawled over the wall and then started escaping and evading for the next 11 days. Finally got captured by a little old guy about 78 years old with no finished rifle, just as scared as I was. I had no weapons. And then they hauled me up north. I spent a couple of years in prison up in North Vietnam, and I got released in 1973 and was presented the Medal of Honor for actions up on Hickory on December 12, 1974.
What drives men like John Caviani and the Studies and Operations Group to volunteer for some of the most dangerous missions of the war, knowing that if they fail, they die, and if they succeed, there will be no public recognition of their exploits?
I think the majority of us fought for each other. There was intense team loyalty, and people were risking their lives not for some abstract patriotic goal. They were risking their lives for the best friend they ever had, and that is a guy on the team with them. And there was always the knowledge that what we did was truly important.
You go look at that long black wall in Washington, D.C., and there's a whole lot of our guys on it. They did it because of what we thought we could do, which is save Americans' lives by telling them what's coming down the pipe. And we hung our butts out to do that.
Covert operations like SOG do not become public until years later. But an operation run by the CIA, one of the most controversial of the entire war, falls under the glare of public scrutiny and allegations of assassination and torture. It has been more than 25 years since these covert operations, but even now, as more and more details of the secret wars are coming to light, they are the most controversial of the many ways America waged its war in Vietnam. After Vietnam, questions continued to be raised about secret operations. Congressional hearings in 1975 shed new light on the CIA and its clandestine operations, including assassination. Later, in the 1980s, the Contra War in Central America began as a covert operation run by the CIA, and Congress once again raised questions about secret methods. Despite these controversies, many feel that some secret actions do have a place in a free democratic society, even today.
If a hostile foreign power acquired a chemical agent and we believed he was about to use it against the United States, should we wait until they use it before we act? Or deniably, covertly, preemptively strike them, prevent this agent from being delivered? Well, we're big boys and girls here. You're not going to allow someone to turn loose nerve gas in the United States city before you act, could you?
While the debate continues to swirl over the secrecy and sometimes violence of covert operations, it is easy to overlook the heroism and the bravery of the soldiers whose stories are just now emerging from the shadows.
40 years ago, the Vietnam War was ended by President Nixon, and hundreds of prisoners of war came home after years of brutal captivity.
That's the G.
Through their prison walls, they tapped letters to each other for God bless you, and came away with lessons about what courage really is. What is it?
Courage is fear that has said its prayers.
Courage is not always, the end of the fight. Courage is a process.
Everett Alvarez was the first American shot down in Vietnam. He was beaten and tortured. How long did you spend in captivity?
A total of 8.5 years. We had a code. It was return with honor. Our dignity, our reputation, our character, that brought us through.
John Borling was locked up with him in what became known as the Hanoi Hilton. They were both tortured.
We maintained that we wouldn't give them anything for free. So the thing was, do the best you can, make them hurt you and hurt you bad, and then bend but don't break.
A lot of people only have 5 or 6 friends that they can really count on in a tough situation. But we had 300 friends that we knew would take not just death for each other, but torture for each other. Torture is much harder to take than death.
Those are the last known American prisoners of war. That part of the Vietnam tragedy is over.
It was 1973. 590 American POWs were finally coming home.
Colonel Ellis, who says they got on the plane, he was handed a big cigar and hugged a nurse.
We had not seen a woman in 5.5 years. Can you imagine that?
I bounded up the stairs and stopped at the top. Blow him a kiss.
And Captain Gruters, who seemed so subdued on the flight home, soared in a dance of joy at the sight of his little brother all grown up.
The son of a gun is stronger than I am.
And then these wild rumors started circulating that there was going to be a dinner at the White House.
Here in this tent on the back lawn of the White House, more than 1,200 people will dine with the Nixons.
A giant tent was installed on the South Lawn. President Nixon invited every Vietnam POW. It remains the largest dinner ever held at the White House.
Never has the White House been more proud than it is tonight because of the guests we have tonight.
It was huge.
Lots of celebrities.
Lots of celebrities.
Who did you see?
Well, I sat with John Wayne at our table, and I thought, oh man, this is it. I'm sitting with the Duke, my hero,
President Nixon made us feel like we were the stars.
Robert Surton spent 3 months in a North Vietnamese prison with Al Agnew.
So he brought us home. He ended the war.
President Nixon is one of our heroes.
In a more serious moment, every POW met the president. You had a moment with the president. What did you say to him? What did he say to you?
He said something very interesting. He said, I tried. I really tried.
Did that mean he tried to get you home?
He tried to get us home.
There's no diminution of our affection for Richard Nixon. For us, he was the guy that stuck with us.
In 1973, President Nixon saluted nearly 600 American troops. They had been held as prisoners of war in Vietnam. After their release, they were treated to an unforgettable celebration. And now, 40 years later, many of those former POWs are reuniting.
Former POWs from the Vietnam War gathered today for a reunion at the Richard Nixon Presidential Library in California. They spent years in North Vietnamese prisons and were finally released in 1973.
There was an emotional reunion taking place at the Richard Nixon Library. Hundreds of former POWs from the Vietnam War gathering to commemorate a star-studded dinner that took place at the White House 40 years ago.
The reunion happened today in Southern California at the Richard Nixon Presidential Library.
This was a very special day with a lot of historical context, as you'll see in a moment. These POWs came from all over the country to be here today, and many more people came out to salute them.
It was a hero's welcome that these heroes were worthy of.
When I saw the people holding the flag, I still get goosebumps. Look at it.
they've been slowed by time, their numbers dwindling. Though many reuniting at the Nixon Library were propelled to rewarding lives by their rescue 40 years ago, they've never lost their bond with each other. Or with the president, as controversial as the war itself, who negotiated their freedom on the way to ending their war. Following 7 years in a Hanoi prison, Chuck Boyd went on to earn 4 stars as an Air Force general.
Mr. Nixon.
This week, he and nearly a third of the 591 POWs granted the unexpected gift of freedom 4 decades ago were invited to remember how it tasted, how their loved ones rejoiced at their release, how unbelievable it felt to leave their prison hellhole alive.
I'm really a sucker for these. Last night I was at a Salute to Freedom on the Intrepid. Check this out, this emotional celebration of service. We can't thank them enough. It's at the Richard Nixon Presidential Library this Memorial Day weekend. There are hundreds of former POWs from Vietnam, all gathering to commemorate a star-studded dinner party thrown at the White House 40 years ago. I think it's time. William Lajeunesse, live at the Nixon Library in Yorba Linda, California. So glad to hear this is happening, William.
You know, Jamie, that was the largest dinner ever held at the White House, and we were looking at some 1,300 people. Well, in just a few hours, about 200 of those POWs who were starved, beaten, and bound in North Vietnam will commemorate that dinner held in their honor by then President Nixon, May 24th, 1973.
McDaniel, along with 2 other Vietnam POWs, took a sneak peek at the venue for tonight's dinner that's designed to replicate the dinner back in 1973. Each table, plate, and glass brought back memories of that reunion dinner hosted by President Nixon.
He came over to the table and we stood up and he put his arms around me and my sister and said, the first sister again. That was very meaningful.
I'm looking forward to it. My wife is looking forward to it, and we got our camera.
I was in table D.
I was over here somewhere.
It was entertainer Sammy Davis Jr.'s idea to have a big celebration.
He said to the president, he said, you know, you have a big party for them. He said, wouldn't it be nice if you could have all the POWs at a White House dinner?
With nearly 1,300 guests, it was the largest ever White House dinner. A huge tent covered the South Lawn. Bob Hope was master of ceremonies. John Wayne spoke. The heroes also were given unusual access inside the house.
One of us said, what do you suppose is in this door? I don't know. I opened the door, and it was President Nixon's study. And he was sitting behind the desk. And we walked in, and, oh my God. And he said, you know, it's okay, boys. That's all right. I'll be down there in a minute. You just go right ahead. And, you know, we're just shaking. Oh my God, we walked in on the president, you know.
For many, the highlight of the evening was the singing of God Bless America, led by the man who wrote the tune, Irving Berlin.
My wife talks about that this day. She was standing there, just tears falling out of her face.
God bless America, land that I love, stand beside her.
These decorated veterans, Vietnam POWs, many of them former pilots, reunited tonight wearing the same uniforms they wore the evening of May 24th, 1973, described as a magical night, a special dinner and celebration at the South Lawn of the White House with President Richard Nixon and his wife Pat.
It rained all day and it was wet everywhere, but it was also not a dry eye in the house.
One of the great occasions of the Nixon presidency.
Back then and today, these heroes are honored for their courage and endurance, surviving years of captivity and torture by the enemy.
I remember their honor, their courage, their commitment to our country.
On this night, Tricia Nixon Cox did the honors.
You never lost faith in America, and my father never lost faith in you.
In prison, they wrote down songs about America on toilet paper. They hid it from the Vietnamese. And 40 years ago, they sang one of them, written in prison. It is called the POW Prayer, about honor and freedom, freedom and home.
the dinner 40 years ago, the POW choir sang a hymn one soldier wrote during captivity. Our nation's call. 4 decades older and unrehearsed, choir members sang the words they learned long ago when they were far from hope and far from home. America.
O God, to thee we lift our prayer and sing. O God, to thee we raise this prayer and sing. From within these foreign prison walls, America, and thee.
And the nation salutes them back.
Aloha, my name is Gary Jackson and I'm an interpretive park ranger here at the World War II Valor in the Pacific National Monument. This afternoon we're on board the USS Arizona Memorial. The names that are listed just fronting the memorial wall itself, dated from 1982 through 2010, are the names of survivors. Survivors that were fortunate enough to make it off the ship on the attack on the Arizona on December 7, 1941. These survivors went on to serve their country, and upon leaving the military, spent their lives and had families like we would normally do. And of course, upon passing, they have requested to be re-entered into the ship, allowing them to spend eternity with their shipmates that they left behind, serving still the Arizona to this day. Now, these individuals are first cremated, their ashes then placed in a very special watertight urn. For maximum privacy, we wait until the end of the workday, when the last tour has been completed. Only then do we reserve the Navy boat that brought us out here to bring the urn, family members, and a full honor guard here to the memorial. Once on the memorial, they'll set up and stage a detailed ceremony to honor that individual. Upon its completion, with taps played in the background, the urn is officially marched out to the lower dock. There it's turned over to our chief diver. The diver, upon accepting the urn, swims from the dock just beyond gun turret number 3 and continues to the 4th gun turret. It's this 4th gun turret, as you can probably imagine, that remains underwater 24/7. At the base of the number 4 gun turret is a 5.5-foot crevice. The individual will then slowly swim along this 5.5-foot area as they look for an opportunity to insert the entire urn, thereby returning them to their shipmates for all time.